Let me get this off real fast. But this actually, um, let me get this going. Give me just a second. Um, okay. So, I guess this is okay. Um, Today is October the 2nd, and the announcements are that I do have two Facebook pages that this stream is associated with, and that is the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch, in parentheses, antlers, and surrounding areas. Also, the Choctaw Missing and Murdered Woman, WOMBMAN, and Son Center and Database. Those are two group pages on Facebook that I do link these streams to. The museum in Tellahena, the Chute Ranch Project, the Bigfoot Experience, is open as far as I know it. Please visit through there when you go through there. Great people who run it, and they have actual artifacts if you ever do want to see items. And I don't know why they would be called artifacts, because the Bigfoots are still here alive today. So, but they do have casts and a Bigfoot hair, I believe, and some pictures and things that, if you need or if you want to see pictures or some of the best pictures, especially in this area, please visit the Chute Ranch Project Museum in Tellahena, Oklahoma. Angel is here. Good evening, Angel. Cliff, I have forgot. I just been getting backed up, and I'll explain a lot also today. Kathy is here, and Ladybug. Let me see what else I have for announcements. Let me go find that. SMA. If SMA gets into the room, let me know or hit me at a sign, because sometimes I'm not watching the comments. A lot of times Faith Walker takes care of that, but I believe she's on the road. We were on the road today, and we'll get to that also. So glad Cliff, everybody's here. SMA, haven't heard from her in a while, so if y'all have her email or anything, which I do too, I'm going to email her, see if she's okay and everything, just to check on her. Good group here. But today I wanted to talk to you about more of the. See, where am I at? Oh, that's next tomorrow night. About the Warriors' mentality and when we go into the field, when we train, especially with the trackers in the tracker school, and some people did ask, "Are you with the students or the people 24/7?" And yes, from sun up to sundown, we're tracking, we're learning, we're looking at the stars, using the stars, talking about astrology. All the things that we talk on this channel, it's like all bunched into 1 month. And as you can see, we're with all the information, as you can see around the room here, that like this group has been working on and doing things, that there is a lot that goes into tracking. And I was talking to some people also about that, and everyone has says that it's a lost art, or that our people and everyone really needs to learn how to track, and that the importance of knowing how to do things like that and what to look for and how to be really careful out there. Talk to some good people. Um, but when we're in the field, that's we're live. Um, Everything that we've trained for in these streams, everything we've talked about, everything we've prepared for, even the healing. Um, start that healing. Get your minerals, get your plants, everything, because get your body strong right now. Don't wait. Don't. And that's the biggest mistake a warrior has, and everyone should always remember that. The biggest mistake a warrior can make is thinking he has time. A warrior doesn't prepare for battles. Um, well, normal people don't prepare for battles, but warriors prepare for the battles every day. Every time we're going out in the field, every time we're even on our own properties and things like that, where we have suspect of Bigfoots or structures. You got to prepare mentally, for that, and also prepare for that encounter should it ever happen. So you're not caught by surprise or unaware, or that your mind might not be able to fathom it, or it might change it into something else. So see it for what it is. Keep your mind strong. Prepare your mind, prepare your body to react when those things happen, when those encounters happen. Prepare your body to react beforehand. Always live in the present when you're in the field, because, like we said, you have to leave everybody and everything behind when you go into that field. When you're doing tracking, uh, people, especially for lost people or taken people, there could be traps out there, but things like that, you have to leave your families out of your mind too. You have to leave your families out of your mind. Don't think about what you're going to do tomorrow, because there may not be a tomorrow. Because if you're thinking of all these things, you're not keeping your alertness in the field. So when we go into the field, we have to leave everything behind. Even in death, we have to leave everything behind. So the warrior prepares like that, to prepare to leave everything and everyone behind, because you don't have any regrets. You're taking care of everything back there. You're taking care of like future things for other things or other ventures. But for you, you have to go into that path knowing that this may be your last battle, or this may be your greatest battle. But and always teach everything that you learn. Always teach the young ones. Teach them like Faith Walker. I don't think she's on right now, but she's teaching her kids or grandchildren how to track, how to cast, how to look for things, how to listen. And these are young ones, so I know y'all can do it too. So please help your children learn about other things out there, and trust them, because children can see down lower than what we can. Just like animals, they have more light down there, so they see better. Like the dogs, you know that the dogs see better than you. Cats, animals like that. So trust the children. If they say they see something, they can see it. Let's see. Now, whenever you live in the present, you are in your utmost awareness of your surroundings. When you live in the present, when you're not thinking about back there, when you're thinking about back there, you're not focused right here. When you're thinking about the future, tomorrow, hey, we're going to do this, or we're even going to go eat after this, you're not living in this present. So your alertness isn't about what's going on right here and right now. So leave all that out when you're out in the field, when you're out in war, whenever you're out on maneuvers. You got to leave everything out. You have to only focus on what you're doing at that exact time. Be as quiet as you can when you're in that field. If Faith Walker does come on, she sent a story to me that somebody sent to her. And I would love for her to read that story, because everything that we teach here on this channel, when you listen to that story and why those things happen, you'll understand everything that we've been teaching here. So uh, and she sent that yesterday or the day before. But if she does come on, I hope that she'll share that with us. Um, Also, like we were saying yesterday, don't carry anything in your hands when you're in the field. If you have to carry, like sometimes, like I have a handheld thermal that I carry. If I had a pocket, but you don't want any Velcro, you don't want anything that's going to make noise, but you also don't want to have it to where it falls out. So make sure it's something that's real secure that you can slide something down in, but keep your hands free for a number of reasons. When you, like we talked about yesterday, when you have empty hands, when you're walking, even like the military, like this, you know, when you're walking like this, your hands are secure. It's like, okay, so they're bundled up. Now your alertness is out here. Your hands ain't fidgeting or moving around or having a radio, walkie talkie, things like that. Your alertness increases because your hands are secure, so there's no reason for your focus to be on your hands or what's in your hands. So don't carry anything. Also, whenever you're on long tracks like that, um, if you have to use your weapon after a long period of time, if you're carrying things in your hands when it's time to take that shot, your muscles, your fingers are going to be jittery, and your shot can be off. And if this shot depends on it, you just lost that shot. So don't carry anything in your hands. And I've seen another person on one of these shows who was reading emails for Bigfoot, people who wrote in, and he was carrying his weapon in his hands over this long period of time. And I mentioned that don't carry anything in your hands, because if you have to take that shot, that you're not going to have an accurate shot. And so he started carrying a weapon on his back, which was good. And then I seen him in another video where he was at least 10 or 15 foot from his weapon. And so I had to mention again that 10 or 15 foot to the speed of a Bigfoot is way too far to have a weapon. When you're in a camp, you need to always keep your weapons on you securely. Never let anyone have your weapons unless um, you trust them. And also, if you're in a field, each one of y'all should know how to use each other's weapon, just in case you have to use someone else's weapon. You know how to pull the chamber, hit the lock, how many rounds it has, and everything like that. So, and how to reload. Always know how to reload, and quick fire reload, quick loads. So never carry anything. Um, Make sure everything has their place. Your knife, uh, your and if you can have some thermals with you, great. If you have night vision, if you have a helmet that has both night vision and thermal, that's even better. And if you are going into a field like this, that you should have some very good equipment. We have decent equipment that helps us, but it's not something, if we was to fully engage, what we would take into battle with us. So get you the very best. Um, Yehuda Jackson says, Shalom, Jerry, and all of you awesome people. It's good to see you guys. It's hard to catch y'all live because of work. It's great to be here. Well, welcome, Yehuda Jackson. We're just kind of getting started. We're talking about the warrior mentality and the warrior's mind of what we do and things that when we go into the field, into Bigfoot occupation or occupied areas, and how we approach those situations. Um, so, like a phone. or a camera or a thermal, they're all distractions for the body and the mind by the use of the hands. The body is thinking about batteries, shine, noise, camera, the time on the battery, um, and so whenever you have all that, those are the things going through your mind. And when those things are going through your mind, just like whenever we talk about hearing and listening, um, Yuta says, "Wow, I understand. That's good, Yuta. That's good. I'm glad." Um, but also, like if you have to climb, if you have to rappel, if you have to get up in a tree quickly, even with wild hogs or something, that whenever or on rocks or something, if you've got things in your hand, you've got weak fingers. So climbing or trying to scurry up a tree, if you have to, even with cougars, um, I mean, of course they can still get up there, but at least you got that first advantage of the high point because predators do pounce, and that's what they're looking for is the high ground. So remember that also. Kathy says, practice being quieter. Laugh out loud. Yes, always practice being quieter. You want your enemy, you want the Bigfoot, you want the wolf to make the first mistake. You want them to give up their position so you can pinpoint. You don't want to be the one giving up your position to anybody or to anything, especially a predator. In the military, you're not trying to make noise if people's got a weapon pointed at you. Just like a Bigfoot, if they're focused and they're looking for something, and you're the one out there running around whispering, talking, and yes, they can hear whispers. So everybody remember that. So just if you've got to whisper, whisper about the most important things of saying there's a Bigfoot or we're being followed or something like that. Don't say, "Oh, look at this tree," or "Look at this right here." Don't waste your breath out there. Only the most important things of actual sightings, or and in some cases, the best castable print. If you find a very good print, then yes, get somebody's attention. We'll cast it and we'll move on. We'll leave it, and move on. Um, Pay attention to the animal, the human, and the Bigfoot trails. Um, Now, the Bigfoot trails are marked by the spider webs. Use the spider webs to find the Bigfoot trails. You're going to have a human trail. You're going to have an animal trail, but you also have a Bigfoot trail. And their trail is going to be in that brush line. It's going to be, and use the spider webs. If there's a spider web, look around you. There's going to be an opening. Go through that opening and keep following that path. You'll see it's a path. You'll come to another spot. There'll be spider webs over this way. Go to the hole or the path that doesn't have the spider webs. It's a marked path. They use these paths. It's the best path of getting through there unseen too. So use that. Um, Angel Song says, "It is impossible for me to whisper with my voice, Jerry. What do I do? Uh, don't go out in the woods." No, I'm joking. Well, Angel, you can whisper and you can be quieter and you can be completely quiet when you have to be. And just use that as I have to be right now as quiet as possible. Um, but yes, Angel. Angel says, well, don't go out there. You can't be quiet. Don't go out there. But okay, so pay attention to those trails when you're out there. Look for those trails. Look for that Bigfoot trail. And just as, an experiment, walk through wherever your area is. Walk along the edge of the wood line till you find like an entry that's going diagonal. Not really straight in, but it'll kind of go, and look for it behind a big tree because they love to go through with those big trees because it gives them a great walking path and a great place to blend in. So look for that path. And once you get in there, if you don't see that matted down path, um, look for spider webs. You'll see a little beginning path, but look for the spider webs. And when you get to those spider webs, just maneuver in a position where there isn't spider webs, and there will be a path that doesn't have spider webs. But if you hit any of those other spider webs, you're informing the Bigfoot or the predator in that area that's using those spider webs that someone who does it or is not normally supposed to be in there, even if it's game like deer or a person, is in the area, and they will start looking for you because uh, they're thinking food. Some food just came through my camp. Um, so those will be marked by spider webs. Also, run your techniques, as nothing can enter a warrior's mind when using the techniques to block all from entering the mind. Use those techniques that we talk about. Don't think about the future. Don't think about the past. Don't talk to yourself in your mind. Go completely into like it's a protection kind of blockade. You're setting up a protection so that you don't get that mind speak. You don't get those messages. You don't get those words, those sounds, those ringings. And people are not crazy. These things do happen. There's people in places who these things have talked to before or are still talking to because they made a connection, which can also get into dreams and still be fed upon. So um, there's a lot of people who are called crazy and they're not. Um, Free the mind to truth of what is happening. So whatever you see, whatever's going on in the forest, the blurs, the shadows, see it for what it is. Don't let your mind change it. See it for what it is. Your mind, your eyes were quick enough to catch it. It caught that glimpse. This one focused in on it. Just see it for what it is, and it will show you what it is. But if you let your reasoning get in there, whatever it caught and focused, your reasoning is gonna say, no, that could have been a blur, that could have been a shadow, that could have just been a glimpse off the side of my eye. But don't let it do that. Let your body see it for what it is. Bring it together. Bring it together, and you'll see what you were supposed to see, what your body was wanting to show you. Um, Remember, this is a spiritual battle, as in life. So are dreams, and even conversing with an energy predator is a spiritual battle. So whenever you're um, having mind speak or having uh, oddities or disorientation or things like that, um, these predators are feeding off energy by conversing with you, by connecting with you. They're still feeding off energy. And once they do make that connection, if you don't set up that blockade and practice it and use it from time to time, they will be back because now that they got that, like a fishing line, now that they got it in there, they're going to come back and feed and come back and feed, come back and feed. So you will see them in dreams. Um, and in the woods, you'll see them, blurs, everything. Um, Also, people who are energy predators, they will stand in your places, sit in your chairs. Uh, they'll even hire couples, male and female, to feed off both of those energies by separating them and feeding off one energy and then going to the other one, and then they come back together to share, and then they do that again. They separate them. They'll even have people like, here, take my vehicle uh, to go get supplies or something, and then as soon as those people get back, they'll go sit in that chair or that vehicle, and just to absorb that energy. So um, watch out for even energy predators in people. Let's see. Angel says a practical question. Let me see what it says. Practical question. Someone until use the bathroom while out in the woods. Oh, how do you deal with covering the scent? How do you also do this when out camping? Someone has suggested don't pee in there. Oh, you're in a camp and it attracts predators. True or no? And Cliff says I have been fed upon in my dreams before. Still happens sometimes today. Yes, Cliff. Angel says that sucks, Cliff. Angel says I know how that is, and Cliff says if they get me good, then I wake up and do not feel rested at all. Always runs first half of the day. Yes. Let's see, Angel. The only time I would recommend you sitting in an area is when you're tracking like your area, um, because they will pick up scents too, and it's also good to have a strong male scent or a couple of strong male scents, not just female scents. You don't want to just leave female scents out there. Um, but if you can't hold, um, going to the bathroom, uh, only go on certain parts of the expeditions that don't require long periods of time. So like whenever we go and just to show traps and things like that, that's not a long period of time. People can go uh, with that if you need to go to the bathroom. But most people, it's not really a big deal. And but it's not. I mean, if you want to go and track your own land, I would recommend it. But I would also recommend that you use a male scent, a strong male scent, because they will smell the male scent also. Um, and Cliff, um, yes, whenever you feel that way, you do have to wake up. You do have to come back. But that's when they do that. That's because you're letting yourself dream. Remember, we said don't dream at all, unless you have to. Then in and out. If you're letting yourself dream, if you're not practicing, if you're not telling yourself or using your intent to not dream, then when you drift, when you begin to dream, those energy predators are right there waiting for you to open that door. Um, Kathy, you're not going to cover a scent if you use the bathroom out there. You're not going to cover that scent. You can even dig a hole. Um, like they say, you can even dig a hole and use the bathroom there and cover it. But that fresh soil, that dig, is still a scent. And if you watch any animal, if you dig a hole somewhere, or if you plant a garden or something like that, that next animal is going to come up and it's going to go right to that fresh scent. And it's going to start digging or start looking because it's like that's where they find bugs and things like that or worms. But wolves will do that. Any animal will There's no covering your scent, especially if you urinate or defecate. But if you're going out in a field, I would recommend that for at least 2 weeks, you put the clothes and the boots that you're going to wear out in the field in the field. You can check on it, dust it, whatever, but don't touch it with your hands and leave it out there for at least 2 weeks. Get it used to that area, that scent, and also whenever you do go out there, whatever you're going to be tracking, use dirt on your hands to get because if you're coming from fresh washed hands, you got the scent of that soap. So cover that with dirt, your spears, and all. But you're not really going to cover scent. So you know how you have to use the wind and come upwind from somewhere. Don't ever be, um, or actually you don't want to be upwind of anything. Um, but you're not going to cover scent. And our scent right now is at least the size of your hands. You know, you're reaching out, your scent is just like that. And so when you're walking through the brush and you hit the cedars, you hit anything in this area, you're leaving a scent. And that's why it's so easy for wolves and dogs, Bigfoots to track you, is because we're leaving a scent this wide. Uh, use dirty clothes, clothes that you wore outside in the gardens, things that you worked on with tree or bark. Use your dirty clothes when you're out in the field. Don't use new clothes. Don't dress nice. Don't have new boots out there. Dirty all those things up when you're out there just to cover more of the scent. I don't really understand what that means, Kathy, just on the person, not bathroom stuff. Uh, but you do have to cover the scent as much as possible. But also, if you're in an area which the change the scent much, like if you're tracking at your own home, you don't really have to change that scent because that scent is normal for that area. That scent is normal to be smelt out in the woods or through the woods or on the wind. So if you have people tracking at your area, it's good to always share a jacket or a shirt, so that they kind of carry that same scent of the house, so you don't be that oddity. Um, Now, a renewal ceremony has to be done. I did a renewal ceremony, as truth now has entered the mind and reasoning, the self and reasoning. So it's good for people to have a renewal ceremony once. I mean, because you're learning all these new. They're not new, but you're learning the truth, as what um, I guess a better term would be. So you have to accept a renewal as something new that's coming in. You have to make space for that newness so that yourself will change and your reasoning will change, but they'll all learn. So let yourself learn new things, and you can do these things. Whatever you think that you can't do, you can do. If you think that you can't change a tire, you can change a tire. You can do things. Um, Control the talk and the use of the techniques in the field. This will expand the awareness, like we were talking about, but also listen to the bird language, the language of the wind, and the knowledge of the shadows. And I believe we discussed this on one of the streams about to look for shadows on shadows. A lot of people don't understand it until you're in the field. But like a dark Bigfoot will be darker than an actual shadow. You'll catch two shadows. You'll see an outline because when they turn translucent, you're just catching an outline. But also look for those blurs, look for those shadows. And whenever you see that a shadow is out of place, keep your eye on it, watch it, check it, because later that shadow will move slowly into another shadow or into that back shadow to try to hide. So watch the shadows. Learn that when the wind is blowing, watch these blurs. If you've got a blur, if you've got a glimpse, a glimmer, a shine or something, keep an eye on it because when that wind blows, if that area doesn't blow, then that's also a translucent predator right there. Um, So remember, when you're in the field, you're ready for battle. Whatever happens, if there's an encounter, if there's a charge, if there's an attack, you are ready for that. Don't let anything surprise you. Prepare yourself for that. Prepare yourself for that encounter because you're the only one who's going to be in that fight. Prepare for that fight. Prepare for that battle before you go out there. Before you go out there. Um, and the outcome, don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. If if you win, that's your greatest battle completed at this time. If you lose, it that was your greatest battle. That was your final, greatest, hardest, strongest, most ferocious battle you ever fought. And that's the way you have to fight every time. So the outcome doesn't matter. Doesn't matter one bit. In the field, do not talk to yourself. Do not daydream. Keep the focus on what you're doing, where you're at. Keep your alertness. Keep your awareness at its highest peak. Don't ever be thinking about other things while you're in that field. Your life depends on it when you're in that field. Be aware of everything. Don't ever get caught off guard. Don't ever get surprised. Know your area. Know the area before you go in. Map it out. Know where the streams are, the rivers, the lakes, the bridges, everything that we talked about. Know where these traps are. Know what the traps look like. We've been sharing those also. Um, Dreams. When you daydream, when you're out there daydreaming, when you're thinking about something else, when your mind does that, when you're not focused on what you're doing and you're daydreaming, you open the door out there. You open the door to your mind out there. Daydreaming, just like dreams, comas, you are somewhere else. Your body may still be going through the motion, or your body may just be standing there. But while you're thinking of something else, you're somewhere else. Your body is exposed. Your team is exposed. You're not scanning. You're not staying alert. You're somewhere else in your daydream. And that's something that can't be tolerated when you're in the field with an experienced team. Everyone has to be alert. Um, okay, I think Cliff and Angel are getting off on a little bit off track here, and let's see. I'm gonna wait just a second because I really need everybody to listen to what we're talking about. It's only because it's important. Uh, every These are things that we teach, the trackers to be the warriors. But you have to know all these things, and these things can actually, save your life out there, or you could teach somebody. And I don't mean to interrupt conversations, but um, the channel is actually for teaching, of what um, what to do while you're out in the field, what we need to look for, what we need to listen for, certain situations. And we're going to get to some things also tonight, but I'm just talking about how warriors train, how we think when we're in the field, because when you go out there, it's not. And Angel says she's multitasking. And that's also something that we talked about. I'm not sure if you was at one of the streams, but we talked about um, the difference between hearing and listening. If we're hearing, then we're multitasking. But if we're listening, we're focused. We're paying attention to every word, so we're getting all the information. And I also said that with these frequencies that goes around, that people will multitask like crazy, but they won't have finished projects around their house. And that's that frequency. I think it's 409 or 408. And we talked about that one. that has a scattered thinking. So when people, like I was talking about, when people are multitasking and thinking and doing all these other things, you're not actually catching what I'm saying. And that also goes back to whenever I said, what makes a warrior more or less than another warrior? And that answer is the knowledge or the information that was accepted, because the warrior who's listening, who's attaining all the information, is 10 times better in the field than the one who's multitasking or just catching bits and pieces, because this one knows exactly. And that's why I was impressed with some people here whenever I give the test, because they knew exactly, what we were talking about. I didn't have to uh, wait, for the answers. And that was great. And that's why I was like picking certain people of saying, okay, would you like to, help with some of these things? Mhm. So I'm going to go ahead and start back again. But whenever you're out in the field and you start daydreaming, you just jeopardize the team. You jeopardize. You should not have went out there. Uh, you're not a part of the team when you do that. Um, it's kind of like whenever we spiritually go and clean someone's house. We clean every corner, every crevice, under every bed pillow, every corner of the closets. Um, but if we have someone on that team who doesn't clean that closet, if they're assigned to the closet, this one's to the bathroom, this one's to the walls, this one's to under the bed, but if that one doesn't fully clean that closet, then things get through. And that's what daydreams are. Things can get through if we daydream in the field. So don't know what you're going to do, where you're going to go, where you're going to track, know not to talk, know what to listen for, and move through the forest like that. When you move through the forest like that, everything will get out of your way. But if you're talking, tromping through, making noise, it's going to track you. It's going to get as close as it can to you. You're not a threat. You're clumsy. But if you go out there with a plan, you're moving strategically, tree to tree, bush to bush, these creatures will start to get out of your way, because they're not looking for you, because they think you're looking for them. But they will push deer to you. And I talked to a guy today, and I'll tell that story a little bit later. And so your body also reacts to your training, and that's what matters in that field. How your body reacts in the field under pressure is what they would say. But once you train your body, train it to see a 15-foot, um, 1,500-pound, vicious, long clawed, fanged, red eyed, slobbering, mangy beast in front of you. Train for that, so you don't get surprised. If you see 8 foot one, that's no big deal. You're training for the big ones, the 20 footers. So it's how you train your body in for the field. If if you don't train it for something like that, your body will panic. Your body will want to run instead of getting into its offensive position, getting its weapon ready, taking the best position, aiming at the exact spots. So train your body, because once it's in the field, it's how that body reacts to be known if you're going to be prey or not. If you're ready to run like a deer, you're already prey just by that first gesture, just by that first move. If you take a step forward. Don't ever take a step back. Take that position by going forward. Don't ever take a step back on a predator. Um, Now, people who teach warriors to deter, when you teach train children as warriors, not as bullies, not as people who are going to hurt another person, but train them as warriors. Teach them all the techniques. Teach them how to track. Teach them how to listen to the birds. Um, Build their strength up. Have the right foods for them. Um, but don't teach them to deter from war because things happen. Let them be able to take care of themselves when you're in the field because warriors are needed. Um, Now, also remember your training techniques. Keep your alertness. Be alert. Finish your projects. Everything around your house, finish those projects. This teaches your body to continue, or as in the military, we say Charlie Mike. That's CM. If you see military, it says, they'll walk by each other, they'll say Charlie Mike. And that means that you've completed something, but we need you to Charlie Mike continue the mission. The Charlie is to continue, the Mike is the mission. So if you hear military says Charlie Mike, that means continue the mission. And that's what a lot of them told me. And also remember, when you're in the field, you are your own general. You are your own warrior. No one is going to be fighting that fight for you if there's multiples. Don't expect anybody to fight for you. Have your own weapons. Like I tell everybody, when I go to the field, I've got my weapon. You don't have to carry a weapon. I don't know anybody who wouldn't, but you don't have to because we've been in areas where we've seen multiple, and if they were to have approached at that time, each one of us would have had our own battles, if not multiple battles. But there were some people without weapons. So it's not easy to figure that one out. So you are your own general in the field. Remember that. That's your battle. No one's going to fight that battle for you. And if people are done with their battle, then yes, people do help out. But don't expect anyone to be in that battle with you, especially when you have multiple and one-on-ones. Um, at the camp, uh, the tracking school camp that I have every solstice and every equinox. We teach individual and multi to team fire teams, spirit training, mixed martial arts, boxing, hand to hand, and that's why we say whenever we're out in the field, we have our own battle. If you're a tracker and like a child is abducted or something like that, to where you have to go into the field, you will be prepared for everything. If you do encounter a person to where you may have to use physical force, you will know how to do that. I only teach a certain amount of moves because I want you to perfect those. They are the best that I've found. And I also want you able to carry people all the way back from wherever you might have found them if you have to. So that tracker school camp is very uh, exerting, but we are kind of building it to where some people don't have to exert as much, but they will learn everything along with everybody. Um, so this is where, like we're talking about, and I don't like the word, but a lot of people have asked because they said they are like physically handicapped or like a leg or something like that. But we're trying to design it to where we can have people there to go. You don't have to do the runs, especially when you can't do the runs. But there will be physical fitness, and you will be eating the right foods. But we're going to design it to where while we're on the runs and things like that, that you will also be there, or you will be at the next site. We'll get you over to the next site for the physical fitness or the tracking or what we're doing that day. So we are designing it that way so we have more trackers and more teachers, because once you're through with the camp, you are a teacher. you can go back to your areas and start training people and just building that way, which is a great thing. Always expect multiple encounters. When you have encounters, always expect multiple. Don't just think you're getting lucky with a one time Bigfoot, that he's the only Bigfoot in the world that travels from place to place. Don't think that. There are multiple. Um, don't set your camp up until it's time for you to sleep. And only the people who are sleeping put their tent up. Don't do it like you see in the movies, because people are missing because they do camp like that. In the story, that if Faith Walker was here, she would read that, and it has that same scenario. Um, have somebody always to pull a guard duty. And I know it's kind of difficult with families or couples or things like that. But if you're couples, I wouldn't really be out in the woods with the pheromones and everything. Be safe. Do your scouting when you're in places. Uh, make sure that there's park rangers that come through periodically, and have them come through, to check on your place and things like that. So, if you do have any encounters or periodically rocks or sticks thrown, that if you have a game ranger to check on you periodically, you can ride back with them, or they will have a weapon with them also. Be smart while we're out there. Be intelligent while we're out there. Um, Also, we're looking for people, because we're trying to expand this with the tracking team. That we are looking for people that we could send film to, or photos, or thermals. And Damon, I haven't got those to you yet. I've been, doing so many different things that, and I'll discuss a few things later. But I've met with some people and talked with some people about a couple things. I'll share that in a little bit. But we need to also get people to look over the thermals, the sound that we take when we're in the field. That frees us up to rest, especially if we're going to do night maneuvers or night observations. That will help free up a team for that. And like, I don't have to be on every team, but I do want to be on the first couple of teams until I can see that everyone has got it. Everybody knows what to do, and I can see that they're doing exactly what we need to do out there. And then, like at those times, then I would feel comfortable just being at base camp while another team is out somewhere, and that would give me the option or the opportunity to also monitor if we can also get our monitoring van. Uh, we've seen some Bigfoot things, uh, with their vehicles and everything. Oops, sorry about that. Their vehicles and things like that, and I was like, oh, I wish we had our team. I'm sorry, I should have had this up, because we do have the Chute Ranch Project Museum shirt here, and also Chalk Talk. Right down here is the podcast that I will be on Halloween night at 6 p.m. is when that is supposed to air and debut, about the Bigfoot that we are going to discuss with the Choctaw people. So we are looking for people to help out with thermals and things like that. We'll get copies and we'll send them to you, so you can go over them while we're doing other things in the field. And if you get a hit, images, thermals, or anything, you would send that back into us or to whoever's monitoring, and then they would send it to us to where we're at, so we would know where to look if we have a possible hotspot or something, that we would be able to find that. Right now, since there's only a few of us, that whenever we take in the thermals, we have to look at it and mess with it, so it's kind of difficult. So we usually just take the thermal shots, and then we come inside and try to put it in the laptop, and then, but that is a waste of time also. Um, Again, see everything for what it is. Do not let the untrained reasoning change to something else, because remember, that can cost you your life by simply changing it to nothing, uh, or to something less vicious. So when you're seeing vehicles, see it for what it is. Look at those claws, look at those hands, look at those feet. Um, Look for Uh, look for the strength. Look for this, creature coming towards you. Look for the eyes. See it for what it is. Don't let it change, because if it changes to something harmless, maybe it could even change to a bear, because your mind will change it to something that you can handle. That could cost you your life, because the ferocious um, part of it has been taken or lessened, and that is very dangerous. Your eyes are designed to catch everything, so let them catch everything. Excuse me, I'm a little dry. Now, whenever you find those Bigfoot structures out there, those are traps. Don't go into those traps, because you can trigger those traps if they are not triggered. Do not go into the traps, because once you trigger them, you are signaling that somebody or something, some food is in that trap, and they will come out. So don't. Now, you can knock them down in public areas where they need to be knocked down, so that Bigfoot knows that people know that they're around. You can knock them down there. If you have Bigfoots in your areas and you need them out, uh, start clearing your land. Start thinning those trees out one at a time. But when you cut that tree, you take every branch, every leaf out of that forest. Don't leave any brush out there, because they will use that to hide behind or to build a blind. When you start thinning out, you take every bit of that tree out. Um, Also, look for the designs of those traps. You'll see how they're triggered. You'll see that this vine that comes down is actually a tripwire. Um, you'll see that if you step on this side of this tree or limb, this other side is going to shoot up. It's going to rattle. It's going to make noise. You just stepped on a sensor. Look for those traps. Uh, when you're on highways, know that a Bigfoot that crosses in front of you while you're going 55 miles per hour, and usually you're the only one on that road at that time, that when a Bigfoot crosses in front of you, that's a trap. It wants you to slow down. It wants you to stop. It wants you to get out of the car and try to take a picture on your cell phone. The other ones are on the other side. And when that happens, there's missing people. There's cars found like that abandoned. Bodies are found in odd places with the blood missing. Look for those oddities. Bigfoots will push deer across carways, or to cause accidents. Then you will find that the victims bled out one way or the other. Um, Bigfoots use deer and hogs, or pigs. They'll herd the deer to the deer hunter. They want to know if you're a deer hunter. They want to know if you're a pig hunter. They want to know what you're out there for. They want to know what you're hunting. So they will herd deer towards you. They will good sized deer, game trophy sized deer, or young yearlings for you. Wherever you see the deer, you're going to see them also. They use the deer for normality. So when you see deer, people don't think of anything bad. When you see that one raccoon, that one squirrel, that one bird, know that is an oddity. Where's the other raccoons? Where's the other squirrels? You're going to find that the deers, they're going to be young deers, because the Bigfoots eat the males and the larger females, because those are the ones who know to run. Those are the ones who know the paths through the mountains. The young ones don't know that. Just kind of like COVID is doing right now. All the elders, all the older people, all that history, all that knowledge is gone. These young ones don't know all the things that, well, like the people here on this channel, these young ones don't know any of this. So always share information. Um, always know that a visible Bigfoot is a decoy. That's part of a trap that's being set up by the observers. They observe these young ones to hunt, trap, and kill. There's always observers, there's always a decoy, there's always the prey, the hunter, and there's always the herders. When you start going the wrong way, you're going to see another Bigfoot. There's multiple Bigfoots. They hunt that way. When they want you to turn, it's just like bear hunting. They're going to either shoot on this side, or which will be stand on this side, or shoot on that side, which is also standing over here, so that you get nervous and you go back the way that they're hurting you towards the one that's hunting. Uh, and we'll get to more of that also. Um, and it's only because tracker friends, they've told me uh, things that's happened to them, or that Bigfoot's watching, tracking them, and things like that out of the woods, or they'll say escorted out of the woods. Um, let's see. And so the Bigfoot that you need to watch out for, it's not that decoy. It's not that first one. Well, I mean, you do have to watch out for every one of them, but the first one that you're going to see, that's the decoy. That's the trap. The trap is being set once you see that first one. The observers, this trap has already been laid out on this hiking path, in this camping area, this roadside campsite. This place has already been set up as a trap. You're just the one that's new to the trap. So when you come in, they've already, and if you do your scouting, if you go out that 40 yards and start looking at the trees and structures, but be very observant, you're going to see coming back, you're going to see scratches, you're going to see traps, you're going to see where they've matted down and watch that same campsite that you're going to camp at. I took some people out just to show them that the Bigfoot set right here to watch this campsite, this perfectly nice, great place to camp site, but it's a trap. And this is right where the cluster of missing people begin, which is at Winding Stair Mountain. I've talked about that place. Um, and when we got to that place, it was exactly how I described it. I described it here in one of the streams of this trap in this place. And whenever we got there, I said, now look at this place. Isn't it just a great place where you would just want to camp? It's secluded. You got a pond. There was actually wood, broken up wood in the wood kind of fireplace. And I've seen wood there, burnt wood there before. But that is a place where multiple people have came up missing. And so this is all the part that I was going to share for tonight. Now, this next part, I was going to share, um, and with Faith Walker and Katie, but they're not here, it seems. And I think one's on maneuvers and one's resting. Um, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about this tonight, so that they can watch this tomorrow or whenever. So Katie and Faith Walker, please listen to this part because it was told to me by a Creek Indian. Uh, he said that a long time ago, these Indians would always talk about this big woman, or big people, and so that while they were out collecting berries, that this big woman, as they called it, this big woman handed over a handful of berries when asking the kids, "Do you want some berries, or would you like some berries?" And then when the children reached for the berries, and this other hand that was behind the woman would slap them in the eyes with a sticky, kind of sap that sealed their eyes, and she would put them in a sack on her back and carry them back to her place to eat. And of course, she was fattening them up, and they were all with their hands behind their back, and their eyes were sealed with this sticky sap. So one of the young boys leaned up because he could feel the heat of the fire, and when he did that, the sap started to melt, and he opened his eyes and seen where he was. And so he told the other boys, because there was other people that was captured in there. And so whenever he told the other boys to lean forward to the fire and that the sap would melt, that once everyone's eyes were open, they were untying each other. They knew where everybody was, so they were untying each other. And that they were going to wait until the big woman come back. And when she was by that fire, they were going to push her in. They were all going to push her in. And so that when the big woman came back, uh, the young boys got up and pushed her into the fire, and then they returned. But that story was told to me by a Creek Indian, and I was thinking about yesterday whenever we had the discussion, and of the day before whenever we had the thermals, and Katie was talking about that Bigfoot was wearing a box and carrying a, and when I looked at the thermals, I said, this Bigfoot to me looks like it's carrying a box. And but I'm going, what would be, in that box? Why would it? And that was the question. Faith Walker, she brought that up too. Other people, what would have been in that box? Why would they have been carrying a bag? And as that story was told to me, that's I was like, I'm here. This guy's telling me exactly the story that I need to hear. And then I need to share it with the people on the stream, and I need to let Katie and Faith Walker know about this story about the Bigfoots or the big woman putting children in the bag or the box and taking it back to her place to eat. And we talked about that as being in the Egyptian hieroglyphs of carrying DNA. So carrying children and things like that is DNA of when they want to produce, when they want to create a better Bigfoot, I guess you would say. So they would capture people or children and put them in a bag or a box, and that's what we were having a big discussion on that probably 2 nights ago with Katie and myself and Faith Walker about the thermals and what Katie has seen in the night vision. So that story was told to me by a creek ending, and then I had met a group of guys today also, and the group of guys they're all into the Bigfoot. They have teams. They're an organization, I believe. They're organized also with TAP, which is in Texas also. Uh, Angel says Katie said the box was the Bigfoot carrying its blind with it. And when I was told that story, it made the story to me made perfect sense because of what Katie had seen and what we had caught in the thermals, and what uh, we know that when the Bigfoot does want to produce a better Bigfoot, that it does scout out. It does scout out uh, physique people, rock climbers, hikers, uh, runners. They look for this physical fitness part, and even the children of those people is good DNA for them. So it's easier to take a child, or if those hikers come up missing, when they drink that blood, that's still DNA blood. That's still carrying that blood in that sac, I guess you would say. They can produce through the ingestion of eating flesh and drinking blood. So this picture, yes, to cover the face, yes, to get closer, and that's what we was talking about as far as the Bigfoot skin. the skin of the Bigfoot can be used as a cloaking, kind of like a cloak, like you would see in Harry Potter, I guess you would say. Um, so those bags are also made pretty much invisible. But I wanted to also talk about this this picture. Let me go ahead and scoot over here. Um, Now, if everybody can see here at the very top, let me do this. But there at the very top, let's just say at the very center of this picture on the very top, you can see how that that stick or that how it's laid across right there, how it curls around that other bar there at the top. If everybody can see that, that's what we're going to be talking about in this next part. Now, I also have, of course, the Oklahoma Bigfoot Predator Watch page. So there was a guy, his name was Don. I can't think of his last name. I didn't know Don, but a lot of people have joined that other page also on Facebook. So Don posted on that page a video, and it was him walking through the woods, showing the twist in the trees, the bends, and everything, but it didn't show a Bigfoot. So I didn't know Don. There is, like I said, a lot of new people who came to the Facebook group page. So I took that video down and I sent him a message and I said, this channel is for firsthand experience or proof of what you've seen. Show us the Bigfoot that you've seen, and then you're more than welcome to keep posting whatever you want to post. And so he kind of took offense of it. And I think it was because I didn't know who he was or who he is, which I really still don't. But he does have his own YouTube channel, and he does uh, not the way I would do it, but he does scout areas, I guess you would say, but not the way I would do it. So I think he took offense because apparently he does um, research, and so he said something about being censored and that I didn't want to share the truth and the that which I do. If you've got that, then. But then he also started sending me pictures, copyrighted pictures of Bigfoots, and so when that happened, I was like, "You're more than welcome to." Post whatever you want. Now that I know that you're a knower, now that I've seen the pictures, and I know I've seen your channel, I know what you're talking about. So now you can post whatever you like because I know you know. Hey, there's Faith Walker. She says she's driving but listening. Hi, Faith Walker. How you doing? Be safe out there. Hopefully, we can uh, do some tracking someday in areas. But be safe on your journey. I just come off the road, but um, there's Kathy. Kathy says, "Hey, Liz is here. Woohoo!" That's awesome. Um, so so Dawn, uh, Yuta says, "Hey, Jerry." He says, "Hey, Jerry. What about the dead tree laying on the remote dirt we saw this twice up here in New Jersey on the land?" That's a trap. Also, they pull those things to get you to get out and move that. Think about these things because they're really obvious once you really think about it. They're not as intelligent as we give them credit for, but I mean, because their prints are everywhere, their marks are everywhere. We just have to know what we're looking for. We just have to know that they're out there to look for them. So, so I'm talking, kind of conversing with Don and kind of rectifying the situation. and so it's kind of okay. But I look at his video that he posts, and in his post, in like the first minute of that video, there is almost exactly the same kind of meat where they hang meat up there in that top bar over this lodge. That's a lodge, and there are translucent beings underneath that bar next to that tree and some over to the other side also. So we were actually in what we said the kitchen because this is a feeding place, it's a gathering place. They do hang meat there, they do eat there. Um, but you're not, but Don had almost that same thing in one of his videos. And I was like, if this is your video, Don, you're in a eating place. You're in a place where they hang meat, and that's where they because it came down, it twisted and then looped around, and then like a bar just like that went straight through that to another one. And so I was like, that's a meat hanging place. That's where they hang meat and they eat and they feed. So anyway, so that's Dawn on Facebook, and Dawn, if you're listening, which you probably will be soon, uh, you're more than welcome to post on that page. Um, Please don't take offense, but I just had to make sure that you were a knower. And now that I do know that you are, you're welcome to post on that page, and please share the information with us of where they are and how many are in your areas and things like that. So I'm talking with these other people today, and it's actually the people that I needed to talk to, and you know, this is out of the blue, out of a place where there is a possibility for us to meet. Sorry, long day, long night, but I am in a place where there is a possibility for us to meet, but we are not. We don't have an appointment to meet. We just kind of know about each other, and I just got a message from another friend that these are good people and to check them out and things. So, and they knew a little bit about me too, and that I'm in the area, and so we just happened to meet in a place where people were talking Bigfoot and things like that. So these same people that I met were the same people who were going to go up here to this same spot of what we call a snatch and grab to pick up a trail cam that is on this spot right here. This is a great place for a trail cam. Now, I'm not saying that that trail cam is still up there because these creatures and predators do know how to take trail cams down. They know how to build sophisticated traps. They are very strategic. They observe before they do any killing or taking. They observe. They want to know if this person who lives by themselves is going to be bothered. They want to know how many cars come in, and they'll watch for a year. They'll watch for 2 years, 5 years, until they know this person is not visited often. This person is alone. Things like that. Um, we've got stories of people being taken right off their front porch areas. But that's also, you need to change up your habits, your schedules, your routines. Don't be doing things at the same time, especially going out at night time or checking things at night. Be sporadic. Don't do things exactly the same time every day. If you do that, you are easy prey. Everybody knows what time you're going to check your mail. Everybody knows what time you're going to come out and feed the dog. So change everything up. So these same guys that I'm talking to, they're telling me that they can't make it on the snatch and grab. And these are the guys I was waiting on because I said I want 3 trucks, I want 3 drivers, I want 3 gunners, and I'll lead in. But we're going to go over everything. We're going to map it out. I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do. We're just going there for that trail cam, just a quick snatch and grab, and we're coming straight out. We have to go in the morning. We have to be traveling up that mountain at daybreak because they get called back in the morning right before daybreak, and they get called back with that whistle. But we're not going to be in the mountains to hear that whistle. So the best time to go is right at daybreak, right up that mountain when they're going back to their dens, their caves, underground, and places like that, or places to eat. That they're not in these places where we got to go, so we can go in, snatch and grab, come right back out unharmed and as the safest manner that we can. So anyway, I'm talking with uh, these people, but I'm also talking to another person who's introduced me to these people who I met, but they're telling me that they have one vehicle that they can take and they're waiting for other vehicles because they want to go on this snatch and grab. Uh, and so this other person I'm conversing with is telling me, well, just get in contact with them right now and see what y'all can do and work things out. And I said, well, I'll contact them when they have 3 vehicles, 3 drivers, 3 gunners, you know, and we can meet up and map it out. Then I'll talk with them. But until then, it's still just talk, which I found out it was pretty much still just talk because they can't go, they won't go. So I'm going to have to plan it out another way to get that trail cam. So anyway, I'm going and I'm talking, and then I run into another guy, and I start talking to him. And we're talking about Bigfoot and things like that, and they're from Falk, Arkansas, so they do know about Bigfoot. He was a Crabtree family member, so they do know about the Bigfoot and the Boggy Creek Monster. So we're just kind of talking a little bit, and we got on the subject of me being a tracker, and I got a tracker school, and teach people for a month, and that we track for missing people. And so I've got his attention already because he's a Crabtree out in Falk, Arkansas, and Boggy Creek Monster and all that. So he's interested in tracking. And he's also one of the people saying that's good because that's a lost art and people do need to track. They do need to know what's out there and things like that. So we're having good conversations. And I'm talking about where I need to go and that people were supposed to be taking me up there for this snatch and grab. And I'm talking about that hook where that meat where they hang meat right there at that very top, that very center. So when I get to I said, and then they got this lodge, they got this bar stuck in a tree, and then it's got like a branch coming across, but it's hooked around like. But I'm describing this right here at that very top. I'm describing that of where they hang that meat and they feast upon that. And these are people, these are whatever they catch is going to be feasted. And where we were was a perfect trap for people who did not know it was a trap. We did, so we kept moving. So when I get to this part, because I'm talking about Don's video too, so I'm talking about this part, and I'm saying this is where we got to go to get that trail cam. This is where that snatch and grab is that I have to go to get that trail cam, which I took a team up there before and we knew it was a trap and we made it out safe. But I have to go again. I have to go back into the kitchen to get that trail cam, or at least to check to see if it's still there or not. But when I get to the point of talking about where they hang that meat right there on that bar, he stopped me. He said, "Let me stop you right there." He said, "Slaughterhouse. Have you heard about the slaughterhouse?" And I said, "No." He said, "What you're describing is where they do hang meat, where they eat people, where they eat anything that they can. That's their lodge. That's where they hang people to eat. And then he proceeded with telling me the story of the slaughterhouse, how a hunter was in the woods and he came upon a similar uh, like that hanging area, just like I seen in Don's video. And Don, look in your video. It's in the first minute of that video that you wanted to post on that page, and please post it again. But you're going to see almost the same thing, except yours is in a circular. It's the same thing though. So he stops me and he says that this hunter comes into the woods and he finds a lodge just like that. And when he goes up on it, he sees that there are bodies, there's clothes, there's shoes, watches, camping gear. It's a feeding frenzy area that he found. And so he gets out of there. He goes back into town. His friend in that town is his friend. His friend is a deputy sheriff. So he tells the deputy sheriff what is out there. And so the deputy sheriff says, okay, well, show me kind of where it's at. So they go out there. And he said, it's straight in here about 100 yards. And so the deputy said, okay, well, let's go. So he takes him back in. He drops him off. And so the next thing you know, of course, the black suit people show up, the sunglasses, the black vans, the black helicopters, the black military style people all come in, and that place is like cleaned, almost cleaned. I mean, there's no blood, there's no clothes. It doesn't look like anything ever happened there. It's just manicured like that. And that the young man, uh, seeing his friend who was a deputy at that time in that town, and he asked the deputy, his friend, he said, so what ever come of that? What happened? The deputy said, I don't know what you're talking about. So these things are out there. You're actually seeing an eating place with this picture right here. This is a lodge down here at the bottom. There are translucent ones over there. Um, Between the top hook and the lodge, there are translucent ones over there. There's some over here. I'm just trying to do this with thinking that there's some over here. There's at least two over here on the. There's some. They're translucent, so you just have to know what you're looking for. And Cliff says, "Is this close by in Oklahoma?" Yes, it is in Ouachita Mountains. It is a dangerous place. It is a big trap. It is a feeding place, and that's the place that we have to go back to, or at least I have to go back to, as long as I got a good vehicle and a good weapon. So, but this is all I was wanting to share with you tonight. Tomorrow night we're going to go over more of the mind, also more about dreams, more about energy bodies, um, how we have to use the three eyes, and how three eyes is what we're supposed to be using, not just two, not just seeing uh, what the sky, the sun would see, not just seeing what the moon would see. We have to see what we're supposed to see. We're that third eye, so we have to see that. Um, Ladybug says, "Geez, you are starting to give me the heebie-jeebies." I'm sorry, Ladybug, but we have to tell the truth here. This is how people get to be safe out there, because when they can see, when they know what these things are, if they ever walk upon things like that, you know to get out of there and report them. Even, and it doesn't matter who comes in there. If it gets wiped clean, it gets wiped clean. But you would rather have that area wiped clean than having these things in your area. So if those guys in black want to clean that area out, let them report it. Let those And you don't have to say you've seen what it was. You just have to say you heard things in that area. That's enough because they know those certain sounds, those certain knocks. They know. Um, Cliff says, "Yep, that last story is going to keep me up all night tonight." Guys, women, men, women, man, woman. We're going to go ahead and close tonight. I'm going to get more of the things for tomorrow for the spirituality, the third eye. We need to learn everything about the world, how we use it, how we can use it, how the world will protect us if we're using it, if we're connected. The world will put every gift in front of you that you need. It will make sure you are taken care of. Um, Trust the earth to do that. Trust your spirituality that um, the path that you're on is going to have everything that it needs to be. Be a truth walker. Um, and teach each other. Teach each other. So I want to thank everybody for tonight. We will be back tomorrow night at 9:30. Everybody have a great night. There are some people that I will be getting a hold of very soon. Um, and also, Cliff, I'll be getting that work for you. I still need to get this table kind of sanded in the morning, which I'm going to do but I had some things I had to do today. Okay, let me do this one more time. This is Ladybug. She says, but they have people believing that it is aliens that are doing most of these things. She also says, I've wanted to know these things for years. Well, here uh, we're sharing all this. These are the things that we're supposed to know that we need to know because if we're in these areas and these things are right next to us, uh, they're just waiting to put us up on those meat hanging poles up there. So please come back. We will share more information. We still got a lot to learn. We still got hieroglyphs. We're still going to be doing more healing and things like that. But I want to wish everybody a good night. Sleep well. Don't dream unless you have to dream. Practice that. Practice blocking everything out. Practice those techniques. Um, Cece says, I remember that story. The guy actually found a wallet and photo of ID, of course. Okay, see, CC, thank you for that confirmation. Uh, it was just a story that was told to me because I was talking about where I had to go with this one. So thank you for that confirmation. And yeah, I'm sure they found the ID, the wallet, and things like that. And of course, um, I know it disappeared because everything else disappeared. But then again, people, if you do have things like this in your areas, it's okay to let it slip up that there's Bigfoot in your area, and there may be people that will come in black suits to clean that whole area out for you. But I'll, right now, I probably wouldn't recommend saying that you've seen it, just that you can hear things. Get them to come clean that area out for you. Um, So everybody, I will see you tomorrow night at 9:30 with more dream and mind techniques of how to protect yourself and how to use your energy body and the physical body to the third eye and how everything works together. I'll see you tomorrow night. I had a great time again. I will be in touch with a couple people. Uh, but everybody have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow night, 9:30 Central Time. All right, everybody have a great night.